How you guys doing? Let me ask you something. Do you mind if we do something a little different now? Is that okay with you guys? Something very special? Something that no other city in the world is gonna get on this tour? Well, today's a very, very special day in Dream Theater history. It was 15 years ago on this very day that an album came out that changed all of our lives forever. And we're gonna play that entire album for you right now, okay?
Who was that? That doesn't look like the same person that I saw this morning in the mirror. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the audio commentary. We'll go around the room to identify everybody's voices before we begin. I'm Mike Portnoy.
I'm John Petrucci.
James.
I'm Jordan Rudis.
And John Mayung.
And welcome. It is December 1st, 2004. We're recording this commentary at the Hit Factory in New York City, where we are working on our latest album. And this video that we're doing the commentary for was recorded March 6th of this year. So this was already about 9 months ago. And this was the 15th anniversary to the day of the release of When Dream and Day Unite. So here we are. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, we're off and rocking.
There's Jose, once again making his appearance. He makes more appearances in this DVD than the Budokan one.
This was a great venue. I remember that. Beautiful place. Their first time playing there.
The Pantages. I think they have like Broadway shows and stuff there. I think like the producers, I think, or
Oh, yeah?
Oh, really?
shows there.
Interesting.
This was actually one of the very first rock concerts there.
And you can tell because after the gig, we got a guitar cake.
They gave us a cake with a guitar on it.
It was shaped like a guitar. The whole
So it
cake
was
like
obviously like a big deal for them to have a rock
Yeah.
band playing there.
Yeah.
It'd be great to play there, you know, for all future LA shows. It was really beautiful. So anyway, this was a fun night. I mean, for many, many, many years, we've constantly been asked if we would ever re-record When Dream and Day Unite with the current lineup. And of course, I don't think we would have any interest of doing that in the studio, but it was always an interesting idea to possibly get a live version of this. And this was an idea I had in 2003, you know, projecting ahead to the 2004 tour, realizing that that would be the 15th anniversary. So I remember suggesting real early on
Yep.
that we should do that on March 6th. And I even told Steve Martin and Frank Solomon, our booking agent and management, I don't know where we're going to be on March 6th,
right.
but just mark your calendars on that date, and, you know.
Worked out great. Not only were we on tour, but we were in a very cool city.
Well, actually, I mean, that was not by accident. You know, I mentioned to Steve to, you know, if you can, place us in L.A. or New York or Chicago,
Right.
place us in a cool city on March 6th. And it did work out really great that it was L.A. And we started rehearsing all of these tunes on the European tour throughout January and February. Secretly, of course, at Soundchecks with the PA off.
Yeah, the interesting thing is we do a lot of rehearsing and stuff while we're on the road. Some things take more time than others, but I remember going through this stuff and it was like riding a bike, playing some of these songs. It just came right back. And, you know, we had played them all at one point or another, but it felt like yesterday that we'd written them, and it's pretty wild.
This was actually part of a medley, this tune, when I first joined the
Right.
band, right? Didn't we play?
We did
some wild
this
medley?
and Only a Matter of Time, part of a medley on the Metropolis tour.
Right.
So you had played these two,
Right.
and you had played pieces of Ytse Jam from the Insta medley,
Right.
and we were playing Only a Matter of Time and The Ones Who Helped Us Set the Sun
Right.
on this tour.
So it's a good head start in my
Yeah.
learning process.
This moment right here is really hard for me to hear, the snare drum, because in my mix in the inner ear monitors is mostly guitar, as you can imagine.
Uh-huh.
And when you go down and mute that low,
Yeah.
you just hear a ton of bass from
Right.
the amp in the cabinet.
So you're like in
And I'm
complete focus.
I'm
there.
standing right next to the drum, actually listening to the
Yeah,
acoustic
funny.
snare.
I'm like in major counting world there,
Right.
listening to your,
I'm just trying to like zone in.
listening to
You
you
probably
guys
have-
very carefully.
You probably have the same thing at the end of Only a Matter of Time when I come down and it's just the
Oh,
snare
totally.
drum carrying it.
I'm just going by feel.
Now you played this solo right off the record,
Yes.
and I did the drum solos out into the solo right off the record as well.
Cool.
This is a great solo.
Oh, thank you.
This is in the sweeping days, right?
That was very Yngwie inspired.
That's right.
Yes. Well, when did we write this? Give people an idea.
This was written in 87.
87.
The end of 87.
Yeah.
Or
So-
maybe 88. No, right, it was written after we had already done our 87 instrumental demos,
Right.
which was, I think, the summer of 87. And then this was one of the next ones written right before Charlie joined the band. In fact, at Charlie's audition in 87, he sang a bit of this song. Like, you know, a bit of the history with Charlie joining the band was he came to his audition in 87 and was trying to emulate Chris Collins, because part of the audition process was singing all the Majesty songs from 86. And of course, Charlie's range is just completely different from Chris Collins. So the audition was actually a complete failure, and we were pretty much just going to say, okay, nice, thanks for coming down. That was the end of it, because he didn't have that range we were looking
like
for.
like an octave lower or something.
Yeah, and we were looking for a Chris Collins, Jeff Tate, Bruce Dickinson kind of thing,
Right,
and Charlie
right,
was more of like a Billy Joel, Elton John, Paul McCartney, and so singing the Collins stuff just didn't work. But then he was like, hey, well, do you have anything that new that you're working on? We could jam or whatever, and we played a bit of Fortune, and that's when we were able to hear his true voice, and then it. I guess it struck us.
Yeah. I remember going to Charlie's apartment where he lived and like working on lyrics and stuff like that. And I remember being impressed because he knew how to roll sushi.
Oh, wow.
He
That
had
is
a-
impressive.
He
had a
introduced
sushi
us to
roll.
sushi.
Yeah. Actually, he did. You're
Yeah.
right. We went to a karaoke bar where we used to
Rehearse in Huntington.
Yeah.
It's an important role in your lives.
It is.
Now, this song, Status Seeker, was a blatant attempt to try to write a hit single. I remember it was the last song written for When Dream and Day Unite.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was written about 2 weeks before we went into the studio.
How much of this music was written with Charlie in the band? Or
Only this song, I believe.
only this song? Oh, so he had nothing to do with the writing.
Well, he wrote lyrics for a
Oh,
couple songs,
okay.
and actually he co-wrote the lyrics for this song.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this was the only song that was written once he was in the band.
Okay.
There's I don't know if you guys know, but I'm putting together an accompanying documentary with old
Right.
footage. So a lot of the writing of each individual song is covered on that documentary via old interviews. So you at home, if you haven't watched it already, you could learn a lot about the history of this album by watching that.
That's it. This album was our first experience in the studio. We were all living together for a while. Pennsylvania. Terry Date producing. Not too much time in the studio for this one.
We
Couple
did
of
this
weeks, what was
3
it?
weeks. We did
Yeah,
this whole
3
album.
weeks.
We've already been here doing the latest Dream Theater album for over a month, and we only have written, I think, 4 songs at this point. At this point for When Dream and Day and Night, we would have been done and delivered already.
Wow.
It's a lot of our first experiences. I mean, even just of recording in general. Using certain amplifiers and getting used to being in the studio and overdubbing, and it was all new. This
all
was-
new ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had only ever done 4 tracks.
Right.
James, you there?
I'm here. I'm just observing and listening.
What are your thoughts about singing these songs through the years?
Well, I do remember doing a couple of them the very first night I hooked up with you guys and jammed with you guys. But, and I remember the Images and Words tour. We played, I think, every one of them, didn't we, on that tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically went through all of them, and So
except for the ones who helped us set the song, but
Right.
everything else we did actually do
Right.
at one point or another.
Well, because when we were on the Images tour, we had we needed to do the songs from the first album in order to create a long enough set throughout the night. So my memory with this album is that we did it quite a bit. Very first world tour we were out with. So when it came back time to bring these back and play the album in its entirety, that was the first for that. You know, being able to do the album like from beginning to end, every one of them. So it was kind of cool. It was great to revisit these songs, you know, because even though I had absolutely nothing to do with the first album, I still had a great time singing these tunes. And it was kind of cool to bring it back at this point in our career and revisit them and enjoy them. And I was quite impressed. I still remember looking out at the crowd, and even though definitely, without a doubt, there was, you know, the fans out there that aren't too familiar with this album, but I was very impressed with the amount of people that you could see they were extremely excited the fact that we were doing this and presenting this album in its entirety. It was really cool to see that reaction.
I think there were surely, and anytime we play When Dream of Day Unite songs, there's always a handful of hardcore fans that are just, that's the highlight of the show for them, because
Right.
people just love the old stuff. But then there's always a majority of the crowd that you just get the blank stares from.
Right.
And I remember this evening, you know, when we did this for the entire second set, we had already played a 2-hour
That's right.
first set. So, you know, we covered most of the new material and the history of the band within the first set. But, you know, when the second set came around, we did this whole album. There was a lot of blank stares, you know, and inevitably some people were probably even disappointed. But, you know, I think, at least for me, I was thinking more in terms of recording it and capturing it on DVD, and, you know, that it was something that just...
Yeah, it's definitely a part of our history.
And now it's shared with Dream Theater fans all around the world, you know, forever. It's documented here, and
I think
it was
this is
special.
It's a great release. I mean, just the look of the whole thing. I think it was shot really well. Actually, it looks great. Sounds
Yeah, it
great.
does.
It's a really cool thing to have. Actually, it's like us recording the entire album live, basically. You know.
It was definitely a historic night, and then the encore even made it even more historic. We'll talk about that later, but it was really one of the top, in my book, one of the top 5 Dream Theater gigs in Dream Theater history, I think. It was just one of those really special evenings.
It was. I remember, you know, it's so weird to us. We've been playing together for so long, and John and I have been playing together for so long, and I remember these riffs. They've been around for a while.
In the basement or
I
something?
mean,
of your,
man. I remember hearing
house.
some of these things and being like, what is that? What timing
Well,
is that?
this riff, the Ytse Jam riff, was written at Berkeley.
E19.
There you go.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, we didn't complete the song
Right.
until Kev joined up, and then like in '86 or so, we completed Ytse Jam. But
E19, is that what you said?
that was our rehearsal.
Is that a
room at
code?
Berkeley.
E19.
But that main riff right there was from Berkeley.
Yeah.
We started Ytse Jam at Berkeley.
So if you hang out in room
85.
E19 long enough, you just might get some of the vibes and
soak
compose
in.
something
The Majesty
yourself.
Spirit.
Right, the Majesty
Now
Spirit.
this part is cool because we decided to do solos for each guy, each instrumentalist in the band. So I forget the
wait.
order.
Actually,
Kev is first.
I remember writing this at Dare, actually.
That's where we
Yeah.
completed it in '86.
Oh, okay, right,
that was
right.
once Kev and Collins were with us. So this is actually the oldest song from When Dream of Day Unite. This was the first, you know,
Yeah.
So you can hear once again the influence of the
Yngwie.
Yngwie, the trade-offs between Jens and Yngwie, and also even Return to Forever with, you know, Al and
There's your
what's his
solo.
name?
That's
the sad solo.
Doing a lot of tapping in those days.
Yeah.
Right?
What was the story with this
Cool.
mic? I played it 5 million times.
Yeah, I think we said this on a commentary already.
Yeah.
I think, but I remember you rehearsing this solo over and over and over
Yeah.
while we were in our apartment in Gladwin.
Who am I thinking of? Chick, obviously.
Oh, this was that studio where the same studio I did
Oh,
the Vinnie Moore?
Wait, a bass solo right here, and unfortunately there was no video footage, John. I have to apologize for that. We were going to put a fake...
That's okay. Just
We have you on the screen back there. That's why we stay with John
can
here.
you paste me in the bottom right-hand corner.
Just like like
One more
the
little edit.
photo from the
Photo of
from
me playing a hammer on.
no, not even the photo from the what was it called? The calendar. Where you didn't have the photo, the real picture of John, so you had to use the photo from the album.
What?
What? What are you talking
Remember the
about?
calendar, like the fan club thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What was it? We put. I don't know if it was a fan club thing or. But it was a Dream Theater calendar, and there were pictures of all the different guys, like live shots or hanging out shots. But there was none of John, so it's like your picture from the album.
I have no idea. That's a good concept.
Make it so.
Just put him in the corner.
Just to clarify, for historic purposes, actually, this is not the oldest complete song on When Dream a Day Unite, because actually we started this at Berkeley, but we didn't complete it till '86. Afterlife would be the oldest song. Afterlife was the first completed song after the Majesty demos, and we actually played that live with Collins. I guess we could talk about that later. But Ytse Jam was also played in the Collins days.
Were we playing this in Jordan?
Well,
We rehearsed in this
yeah,
Jordan.
that was where we rehearsed in a haircutting place in Huntington.
basement.
Yeah, but that by the time we moved to Jordan,
That was after
Spell
this.
it.
Yeah.
Giordan. Jordan
Like some kind of Italian.
Yeah, the guy's name.
Right.
is now going to be Dream Theater
No.
Stalkers hanging out there.
Yeah. Jordan, that's your favorite mode, your favorite chord, right?
Which one?
You know, the, what's it called again?
I don't know which chord you're talking about.
What is it? You know, the half step above and the whole step below.
Oh.
Your favorite
Right.
overused
Oh, right.
chordal movement?
Right. Like the Phrygian kind of thing
Yeah.
or something.
You love that one, don't you?
Oh, yeah, it's my favorite. Let's write another tune like that. One more.
I have an interesting
can't get
story to
enough.
tell you guys
Yeah.
about one of the songs off the first album. And it was when we were throwing tapes back and forth to each other. And you guys had sent me up a CD copy. And it had Status Seeker on it, because I guess that was the single. And so my CD player at the apartment was on the fritz. And I was really psyched to hear this song. So I went to a place called, back then, they're not even around anymore, they're called Majestics Audio. And I went in pretending that I was looking at a stereo system that I wanted to buy.
That's cool.
And I said, listen, I want to hear this stereo here. It looks pretty cool. And it was a huge system. And the guy goes, yeah, well, get a CD. I got one here. Let me hear this. and the guy puts it in. I go, well, I really want to hear it. And I remember just cranking Status Seeker. And it was my first time hearing you guys. And I was getting really in it. You could see this guy. He was getting all freaked out because his tunes are cranking in the store. And finally, he goes, well, what do you think? I go, well, yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're like, I really like the band.
Needless to say, I got my CD player fixed within a couple of days, and then I was starting to play it at home. But that was so funny to see this guy.
That would have been the Terry Brown remix if that was the
Yeah.
CD
Yeah, it
single
was,
that you listened
actually.
to.
Yeah.
We actually had two songs remixed by Terry Brown, Status Seeker and Afterlife, and then they were issued as CD singles for radio and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember about recording this song in the studio. Once again, the first recording experiences. I remember playing that classical beginning and really working on it and trying to get it to sound like, something from Master of Puppets. Like, I thought it was like great. I was so happy. And I remember asking Terry Date, like, what do you think? And he's like, well, it's not going to win any classical awards, but
Brutally honest.
but I work so hard.
And this version here is maybe the only time we ever played that intro live. Because all throughout the time that you've been with us, James, we always did like another hand and then just landed right on that
Oh, yeah,
opening.
right.
What is it, a G?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this was one of the few times we actually had that classical intro from the album.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the versions are kind of mixed around here. Like this version of Killing Hand is kind of the revamped version that we've been doing for years, but it has the intro from the album. And Status Seeker had the album intro, but the live ending. There was a lot of mixing and matching between live and studio versions on these versions.
I thought this was good orchestration here. With sort of bass movement and harmonics, guitar ostinato and that type of drum beat, and then the keyboards just doing a pad. I thought that was very nicely orchestrated for young lads.
And now the gradual crescendo.
That's it.
I think this is the best written song on When Dreaming Day Unite. At least it was surely the most unorthodox arrangement in terms of verse, chorus, and
Right.
you know, it was written in many different kind of sections. This keyboard solo isn't part of the original. That was added on the '96.
You know what's weird is that there was never a tour after on this. There was never a tour that happened after this record.
No.
You'll see if you watch the documentary, you know, that the footage on there is very, very limited. We did maybe 10 shows, maybe, you know, in support of this album with Charlie ever. We
Was
did
it basically in the same area though?
Yeah, all New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, just, you know,
Wow.
locals, mostly Long Island.
Well, what happened is we had the biggest aspirations and dreams. This was our first record deal and everything. We signed it, and the label seemed to be really excited and into it and supportive. And then it came out, and we sort of found that nothing really happened. There was no tour. There was no tour support. There was
Wait,
no.
we were supposed to go out with that
Crimson
band.
Glory.
Right.
Crimson
Yeah,
Glory.
they were talking
that's
about
right.
doing a tour of Crimson Glory in Europe.
You're right.
And there was also never a video, which in 1989 was crucial. I mean, every legitimate band had a video in 1989, and we didn't. So there was a total feeling of illegitimacy.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of just ignored for some reason, and then that's obviously when we knew that change had to be made. You know, not only with the label, but
With Charlie.
sorry, Charlie.
But you know, it was a small budget, and if you recall, we recorded this album in summer of '88, and it wasn't even released till March of '89.
Right.
So it was sitting on the shelves for 9 months before it even came out. So by the time it came out, we had been through a name change,
That's true.
and I think the label just had moved on at that point. You know.
Now, don't you have the original cover of this with that says Majesty?
Yeah. Well, that was used on the When Dreaming Day Unite demo.
Right.
For Ytse Jam,
Yes.
the official bootleg.
That is
That was the
correct.
original cover. But back to what you were saying, John, there was so few shows, and you know, when going through my archives, there was very, very limited stuff, and usually the sound isn't very good or whatever. But you can get a taste of it on the documentary that's on this DVD, and you know,
Right.
it's very limited stuff. We did the three biggest shows we did were opening slots. We did 2 shows with Winger in February of '89, one in Long Island and one in Connecticut at Toad's Place. And then the very, very final show we ever did with Charlie was opening for Marillion at the Ritz in New York.
I remember that.
And in between there was maybe 3 headlining shows. We did one at the Living Room in Providence, Rhode Island, and then maybe 2 at Sundance on Long Island.
It's barely anything.
And then a couple of like showcase shows, one at the US Blues and one at SIR Studios, and both of those are included on the documentary.
That's a good stance, Jordan.
Thank you.
I wonder if that had anything to do with the crazy hours that went into the recording schedule.
Oh my God.
Going in at what, 6 at night, coming out at 6 in the morning.
Hmm.
Yeah. We were night owls. The entire When Dreaming Day Unite was recorded in the wee hours of the morning. And
It was. That's right.
John, I think we should implement those hours again.
You want to go back to that?
No, but
that would
then
make
that
you
means
happy.
the next record's gonna have the same fate.
Right.
This is the bit. See, back then we were all young and single, and we could work, you know, from 6 at night till 6 in the morning. But
Well, we
not like that these days.
No, we just packed up and left.
Yeah.
You know, we packed up, left, lived in Pennsylvania for the few weeks. You know,
It was crazy.
I mean, I was barely. How old were we? Like 20?
Yeah.
You know, I remember like
Kids.
after the album, like meeting my parents down in Disney World. Like that's how young we were. Like, oh, I'll fly down when I'm done. You know, we were kids.
It was exciting too because we recorded this at Ytse Jam Studios, which was in Pennsylvania, Gladwin, Pennsylvania, and Queensryche had just done Operation Mindcrime there.
Right.
So, and that at this time was like our favorite album. You know,
They did Mindcrime at Ytse Jam?
yeah. You don't remember that?
I forgot that.
Yeah, we were like, that was like the most exciting thing for us, that we were recording in the same studio where they did Mindcrime.
Wow.
But,
I remember
but why?
that.
Why did theirs come out so much better?
They had more than 3 weeks to make theirs.
That's funny. Speaking about Queensryche, I remember meeting them at a meet and greet and like bringing our Majesty demo and playing it for them.
Yeah.
And being like such
Wow.
little fans.
Oh, right.
Played it for
That
them,
in
right?
store they did.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I even have a poster signed by them to Majesty, you know,
Yeah.
like all the best.
I remember Michael Wilton gave me his pick when I met him.
No, that was later.
That was late.
That was
at the
they were opening for Metallica. That
Yes.
was in '89 or so.
Coliseum or something.
Yeah, and When Dreaming Day Unite had already come out at that point, so we had a little bit of, you know.
There's so many things I remember from that meeting. I remember Jeff not being there. Like, where's Jeff? Jeff wouldn't come out. I remember Chris DeGarmo telling us that it was rockin'.
With the thumbs up.
The thumbs up.
Rockin'.
Rockin'.
No, that was
Like a
no, that was
commercial.
Chris Tagoba. That was Michael Wilton.
No, that was Chris.
Was it?
Yep. And it was at the time when they were having a lot of success, obviously. And
So that meant a lot.
remember he
right?
gave advice. He was like, think big shapes.
big
Right.
shapes. Wow.
Remember he
And
said that.
you've been thinking big shapes ever since.
That's
right?
You know, it's funny. In '89, Michael Wilton was giving you a guitar pick, and in 1993, you were teaching him his guitar solos.
Nice.
Yeah, then we ended up doing a tour with Queensryche, which was much overdue. It would have been a lot cooler.
Did I say 1993?
Yeah.
2003.
2003. There you go. That tour should have happened like
In
8 years
1993.
early. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
This song was written when we were in total Queensryche head. I remember
Yeah.
when this was written, we were listening to Rage for Order at their studios. It was like 86 or 7, and we were
Right.
totally into Rage for Order.
This part's very sad. I always found it very sad.
Well, that's...
It's very Marillion, this part, right?
Yeah, but you know what? This isn't on the original version. This
No.
was the new arrangement.
Right.
But that's the melody from the intro, obviously.
Right. Snatch. We're rocking now.
Guys, I think I'm going to change my look.
Yay!
What's it gonna be?
You heard it here first.
That's right.
What are you going to go
Short
for?
hair,
I don't know,
shoulder,
that-
shoulder length.
You're tired of looking the same for 20 years? You look exactly the same as when I met you 20 years ago.
Yeah. You know what? It's actually kind of hit me as I'm watching this. I look like I belong in I look like I belong in a different band.
You look
Trying to
like you
think-
belong in Death Angel.
I think you should dye your hair completely platinum.
Yeah.
Be like Nelson.
I was going to say red. He should do like the
Street-
guitar player from Smashing Pumpkins,
He's gotta
like
do
the shoulder length
streaks.
and then red.
No, I'm telling you right now, I can't color my hair. There's no way.
Can you color it?
Come on, platinum
Oh,
like
why not?
Nelson.
On streaks, man.
No.
What are you thinking for length? Shoulder.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. I think shoulder length.
Nice casual.
You realize
You know
you're,
what? I
you're
think-
documenting this on a commentary. You're going to be held to this now for the rest of your life.
Well, it's what I'm thinking at the moment.
Bass solo.
Another strong bass statement.
Second bass solo on the album so far.
Yeah.
One in Ytse Jam and one here in Killingham.
Well, one of the things that I remember, we pointed this out, Mike, a while back, is when we were listening to those old demos, the bass was so present in our early
Predominant.
writing and stuff. The demos, like the bass is cranking. You had all
Right.
these melodies and harmonics, and you were playing like lead bass back in the
It's a very
Harmonics?
aggressive young man.
Wait, you know what? You're talking the Majesty demo.
Yeah, that
Also
and
When Dreaming
this,
Day and Night.
this style, this whole
Because
Right.
Terry Date
yeah.
didn't really produce this album in terms of changes. I think
Right.
when we made Images and Words, Prater probably took you down the neck and made you play more root-oriented stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But until Images, you know, Majesty demo and the When Dreaming Day and Night, you were always doing tensions,
Mhm.
harmonics, and you were always way up on the neck.
He thought you guys were just sidemen back there.
That's right. We're supporting.
Actually, you know, it's funny that you brought that up because I had
But
the
it's true.
Majesty demo was cranking on the car stereo,
Yeah.
and you're right. It's like
The bass
it's
was
like night
kicking.
and day compared to what's going on now.
And
Yeah.
you were playing the melodies and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of like high stuff. And
All right,
That's
listen.
what
I'm going.
happened.
I'm,
You become too mellow in your
That's
old
it.
age.
He's cutting his hair.
Wait, I know what I have to do. I
What
need
is
to go
it?
back to Berkeley. I need to live, eat, and sleep music. I need to spend 6 hours a night in E19.
And plus, your bass parts were very sad back then.
Well,
Aggressive but sad.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think that element will always be there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is Light Fuse and Getaway. This is one of the least played songs at this point. In fact, when we did this in LA, this was probably the only song that had only been performed maybe once or twice ever up until this point.
I remember, for me, probably for all of us, but it was a point that I noticed as far as Kevin Moore was concerned that he was a really good lyricist. I remember when he wrote these words and everything, and they were so involved in so many of them, and the rhyming and alliteration and all this stuff. I was like, wow, I never knew he really had such a talent.
This song and
Writing.
Only a Matter of Time
Yeah,
were his two lyrics on this album. I mean, they were both
they were great.
Awesome.
I still love them.
You didn't do all your sound effects on with the bass pedals at that point.
Oh, that was the delay, right,
Oh,
John?
right.
The
You know
analog?
what? Actually, I was gonna do that,
Yeah.
but I kind of the way my rig was set up, it wasn't really set up for that.
Yeah.
I just got a wild memory here. It was we were playing at a club. Just hearing these songs right now. We were playing at a club on Long Island, and I just remembered you one night falling off stage. Do you remember that?
Oh man, I'll never forget falling
You
off
were
stage.
running to the
Stage
front,
door.
and you went
Yeah.
right off the stage, right into the crowd.
Well, yeah, because the stage was really small, and we built a runway for you.
No.
And
It was
you,
barely a
No.
runway. It was a step.
What was it?
Yeah, it was
a road case.
a road case. but in any event, it extended past the stage, and you were out there. So I ran out to join you. But
Oh, no.
my side of the stage ended.
You know what? If I remember correctly, Charlie was there that night
Was
too. Yeah, if I'm thinking the right gig here. Yeah. Well, that was funny. We had a video of that.
Man, what a mess. This song's pretty progressive.
Chorus was purposely slowed down from the studio version. A little more groove oriented. I think the studio version
Let's book it.
seriously lacking groove.
But one of the things I remember from about the way that we used to write is we always linked lots of different feels and parts and tempos and things. You know, it was all
Like right here.
Yeah.
Going from that
exactly.
chorus to
Lot
that
of-
verse.
A lot of quick turns.
yeah. We were
Right.
criticized for that, you know, like cut and paste type thing.
But
But
it became part of a style.
Yeah,
a
it's just how we-
stylistic thing. I didn't even realize when I first heard the band.
Yeah.
You know, before I joined, I was like, wow, what is? I was kind of introduced to that idea of making quick turns. I was like, what is that? Then I realized it's actually part of the style.
right.
But I
Something
think
that
that's
people
why
dig.
we did that little break before going into this verse in the new version. I think it just helps things, you know, little things like that help the transitions
Yeah.
be a little more smoother. By the way, that in that last verse, that I can't see where this is going. Just for the record, that was Charlie's girlfriend Linda at the time when we were at YTSEJAM. We called her on the phone and recorded her saying that.
Was that a real conversation, or you just told it to say?
No, it was staged. It was part of
Yeah.
Kev's lyrics.
Right.
Another bass
Yeah.
lead part.
That's a cool part.
You know what it is? I think the way we interacted back then
Mm-hmm.
and the way we interact now is different. Like that was like we had a routine every night. We'd practice
Right.
every like Monday through Friday. We'd always be there and everything. And now it's it's just different now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
older and we have families. I mean, it's you know, guys, let's do it again. Let's get in the van.
You know what?
Rehearse Monday through Friday.
You know what it is? We like after Images and Words, everything was just like tour studio.
Right, that's
It's-
true.
It's like the element of, I think, the way maybe I interact and become involved with the writing process is like very much just being a band.
Right.
If you come to think of it.
Well, a lot of those riffs and things, they're like a result of sitting in your room since you were 13. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Sitting there for hours and hours.
I think we should maybe get back to
Sitting in our rooms.
no, get back to like maybe being a band for like a couple weeks before we actually go into a record. It's just, I mean, come on, man. It's great sitting in front of your amplifier and like feeling what you're playing.
It is great.
And,
The only difference now is that we're in the studio and then we just record it.
Yeah, but it's just, it's different. It's like really kind of like everybody has their headphones on and
Yep.
only one guy could talk at one time, and like you can't play without being heard in everyone else's headphones. It's very, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but I think
It's different. It's way different.
It's a lot like the way things were back then, the way they are now.
Yeah,
It's
but
different.
but I don't know. We were kids.
Yeah.
It's our lives are very, very different now. This audio commentary is turning into a therapy session.
Tell us how you really feel.
This has been therapeutic for John Myung here.
That's right.
Let's go back to your childhood.
He's changing his hair. He's staying in his room for 6 hours.
He's hearing When Dreaming Day Unite music, and it's just bringing him back.
E19.
By the way, not to get back to the actual show,
God forbid.
Yo, don't talk about that.
but I that's one of my favorite grooves to solo over. That sort of G vamp that we were doing.
You want to do that on this album?
I would love to.
Okay, we'll
It's
try.
very kind of rock and roll, but it had some cool chords in it. You know,
Right, right.
love playing over that.
By the way, that last keyboard solo was way extended.
Mhm.
That's not the same arrangement that's on the album.
There's a mystery chord in that chorus that I think we changed when we rehearsed for this.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. There's a couple of mysteries.
Yeah.
Some things were a little hard to decipher off
Well,
the
one
album.
of the things that we did a lot then is that we voiced the chords, like even if we had a more of a standard chord movement,
Yeah.
the bass, getting back again to the bass, wasn't always playing the roots.
Uh-huh.
We'd put the tensions in the bass.
In the bass. Uh-huh.
So we put 9s
Oh,
and 13,
yeah,
11s
right.
and stuff in the bass,
Right.
so the chord would sound totally wacky.
That's what I'm saying. I think once Prater kind of changed that approach,
Yeah.
when John was doing his bass tracks and images, I think that's kind of you kind of assumed a new role from that point on. I think for future albums and writing.
In a way, yeah.
By the way, this is a wacky
What is
part.
this
But I
part? This
think
part
we-
wasn't the original.
John's
Yeah.
part was on the original. You
Yeah.
And then I added the harmony.
But
yeah.
we all kind of thought that way.
Yeah. I mean, we all agreed that
Yeah.
that it was it added a stronger
Yeah.
foundation to the
Yeah,
band.
absolutely.
I still think it does.
Yeah.
I think it's nice that we have you playing that anchor, you know?
For some reason, listening to this, I don't know if it's just the production of the mix or whatever, or just even the style, it's really Rush influence. I mean, we were obviously very influenced by Rush in the early days, but just the whole way this is coming across really reminds me of Rush.
That was our biggest comparison when this album
Yeah.
came out. And when this album came out, 8 out of 10 reviews
Yeah.
mentioned Rush.
Yep.
And I think Charlie's voice had a little bit to do with that
it
as
did,
well.
Sure.
It did, totally.
And when we finally got a Canadian in the band, all the Rush comparisons went away.
Yeah. I think because
thing.
by images and words, we were starting to have a little bit more of an identity and a sound and
Yeah,
a style.
That's true. I think you're talking about well-written songs. I think this is another one of them, where the arrangement is very,
Concise.
it's concise and it's well thought out.
Well, this was purposely written to be like a single, as
Right.
Status Seeker was. But as I was mentioning earlier, this is actually the oldest song from When Dreaming Day Unite. This was one of the very first things we wrote after Berkeley and after the '86 Majesty demos.
I remember walking home from someplace down Boxwood Drive in Kings Park and hearing that the movement of the chorus in my head, and then going home and coming up with that chorus riff.
Now, this song was actually Chris performed live with Chris Collins singing with completely different lyrics. Chris Collins actually wrote lyrics to this song and came up with the title Afterlife.
Really?
Yeah, I have live tapes of us playing this song with Chris Collins singing.
Same melody and
No,
everything?
completely different
Oh,
melody, completely different
That
lyrics.
sounds kind of familiar.
I even remember the verse was never high, you never see.
Oh my god! I do remember it now.
So that's where
Hysterical.
the name came from. No, wait. That's where the name came from. And then after he was kicked out of the band, we recorded the instrumental version and kept the name Afterlife on the tape. And then when Charlie joined, he saw the name Afterlife, and I guess he stuck with it and wanted to write lyrics to it, and then he wrote these lyrics.
I think Charlie did a really good job with these lyrics, actually.
This was his only solo lyrical contribution because you guys collaborated on Status Secret.
Right. We still ask these questions today.
There's a very funny interview with Charlie on the documentary that you'll see where he's talking about writing these lyrics, and he's like getting very serious, and he's like, people say that lyrics shouldn't answer questions. But I say screw them, and Kev was like, what a rebel. Charlie's trying to be like all like, it's very funny. But one of the things that totally shines through in that documentary is Kevin's sense of humor.
Yeah. A funny fact is that when Charlie joined the band, he was older than we are in this video. So we were like 20.
And he was like 36 or so.
30. I thought he was older. I thought he was like 30,
38 maybe?
38, I thought.
Yeah, he was much, much older than us. And we thought that was so old. Oh my God, he's 36, 37, 38, and now we're
Now
all
we're like 38,
older than
cool. Young. That's great.
Yeah, but can you imagine us now playing? Yeah, I mean, can you imagine being in a band with a bunch of 20-year-olds?
It's hard to imagine. These chords are really very pretty. This was Holdsworth influence. Another thing at Berkeley, we used to watch Holdsworth, live Holdsworth, Jimmy Johnson, and
Chad Wackerman.
And remember Alan
Great
doing
stuff.
these like great voicings with his hands stretched for like 12 frets and tapping other notes on top with the right hand. That was total Holdsworth influence.
You played this solo too? It looks like you're doing almost every solo.
Pretty much.
Right off the album.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part, I kept the form. They made sense. Except for that part.
I mean, talking about what John was talking about earlier with the way we used to rehearse and write and everything like that. I mean, our lives were so much simpler back then because we didn't. Not only did we not have families, but we also didn't have any. We didn't have a career. Like after the success of Images and Words, suddenly we had managers and booking agents and record companies that were on our asses to, stay busy and productive, which is great. Mm-hmm. But up until this point, we didn't have a career. We were just a band, local band, just getting together to rehearse and play and write music. And one of the cliches that I've heard somebody say in an interview is that you have your entire life to write your first album, but you only have 2 months to write your second album, and that's the case with When Jimmy and Dale Unite. This was our first album, and we had years and years to write this material and rehearse it, and
We didn't even have. We were living at our parents' houses.
Yeah, well, not except for me, but all you guys still.
Yeah,
are.
we didn't even have apartments or houses or anything. We were so young. I remember being afraid of getting drafted when the Gulf War broke out. Yeah.
Another factoid is that the day the Gulf War broke out was the very day that James auditioned for the band.
That's right.
January
Flew down
19th,
that day.
91.
Yep.
Now in this part when we were rehearsing it, I kept telling. I wanted to hold out the note, the first note before John. Before John came in, and every time we would rehearse it, he'd come in like too quick. So I said, "All right, when I hold the note, I'm going to look out into the audience. I don't know if I did it on this. And when you see me give the Satriani nod to the audience, you can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm looking out with my mouth kind of open. Then you can start. So that was the cue.
But what do you guys remember writing this intro?
I remember using
yeah.
a harmonizer in
Yeah,
the
I
studio.
do. Yeah. This was the basement of the hair salon. Right? Yeah.
We might have been at Jordan at this. Not Jordan, Dare. At one.
Oh, right.
But you and John always had stuff like this. There was a lot of stuff like in the Berkeley demos and stuff where you guys would just do harmonic and guitar
Right.
pieces.
Right. Yeah.
It's because we didn't have a band up till then.
And the song was originally called "Death of Spock" because of this whole intro. It was like something right out of Star Trek. Those chords might be right out of Star Trek.
It reminds me of a Happy the Man thing. I don't know if you guys know that group, but
They just put out a new album actually.
I heard
David
that, yeah.
Rosenthal's in the band.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Giving them a little plug.
it's pretty good. it's cool actually.
Have you heard it?
Yeah,
You have it?
yeah,
I got to hear it.
yeah. It's good.
Cool. Have you heard the old stuff?
No,
Oh,
I
the
never
old
did
stuff is
actually.
Great.
They were on a Prague festival that I did with Transatlantic, but I didn't get to see their
It's great
set.
stuff. You got to hear it.
And this is
Our first usage of the 5 pattern.
yeah, another part sparked from bass harmonics. That's a
nice
trippy.
spin there.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
was a good one.
That gave me vertigo.
Yeah.
Those lights, I love Ben, but those are the most inappropriate. That's the most inappropriate lighting I've ever seen. It's like completely fast moving. It should have been really super slow, you know, and trippy.
Another writing memory. There's a line that says something about the roadway lamplights, and I remember probably driving home from Rehearsal, even from Long Beach, where you used to live, and being really tired, and it was raining, and you know when you're driving down the road, and if you look at the street lights as you go by, it looks like they're connected to the hood of the car as you drive. You ever notice that? And I remember getting hypnotized by it. There it is.
These vocal melodies were really hard to construct.
yeah.
They went through a lot of changes before this version. If you
They
listen
were
to
really hard to perform too.
they're
Yeah.
very, very awkward.
High, huh?
The time signatures are very, very awkward to sing.
Wait, I remember they were written in Charlie's apartment.
Maybe a final version, but
Yeah.
they were original versions. We were working, when we were auditioning singers before Charlie, this was one of the songs we were working on, and we actually worked with a female vocalist. I don't know if you guys remember this. Barbara Chiavelli.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And
Yeah.
we actually worked on this song with her. Imagine Dream Theater with a female vocalist. We would have been Evanescence
You would
before
have
they
been
were.
big now, yeah. Could have been cool.
But we were working on this song with her, and she actually sang melodies and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
and
remember her.
I have a tape of it somewhere in the archives.
Actually, that wasn't the first time we worked with a female singer, right? We had
At
Tracy.
Berkeley.
Wow.
When we first put the band together at Berkeley, it was just the 3 of us, and there was Kevin at home, but we actually auditioned a couple of keyboard players and a couple singers,
Right.
just in case we could find somebody there and put the lineup together there. But obviously, none of them worked out. So. Think of how different it would have been if we actually took one of those Berkeley people and they were still with us. And
Yeah.
like Kev and Collins and Charlie never entered the picture.
It would have been very different.
So the bass, way up there playing melodies.
That's some powerful background singing right there.
It's that cheesy falsetto.
Yeah.
You know what? It was actually hard for me to play this stuff.
Play it net, like when
Yeah.
we had to redo it.
I don't know. It's like it's hard in its own way.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, a lot of it was just headspace. I think
Yeah.
too.
More 5s.
A big whole tone appearance there.
B.
What?
Hit him B.
This is the ultimate
high
E.
note. Your high note is B. You're hearing a B in there somewhere.
You even said on the documentary, John, in the footage from '89, you said if any song is in E, this song is in E, because the whole song is just da 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 da. I mean, just for 7 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
This solo, oh no, not this part, but the part that follows reminds me of Richie Blackmore and
Right.
Rainbow, Gates of Babylon.
Yeah, totally. The thing that I always regretted from the original recording was I always thought there was way too much delay on this solo. I don't know whose call that was. That was a Terry Date thing. Just when it went into the melody, it was just flooded.
I think the overall sound of When Dreaming Day Unite is just really bad.
Yeah.
I think that's unlistenable.
Like,
More tapping, Jordan.
like why?
There you go.
What?
Why did we stay with it?
Like I don't understand. Like Terry's done other things that have sounded great.
Terry's done great stuff.
But
I mean,
like for some reason, it just
White
didn't work.
Zombie, Pantera, Soundgarden.
That's what I mean. It's very powerful, but with us, it was like complete opposite.
Small budget, limited time. He had never worked with a keyboard player. All his bands were more metal oriented.
Plus we sucked.
But that had nothing to do with it.
No.
Maybe I think it was the gear.
The gear. We had no gear. We literally had no gear. I remember like
Wait, you went in with the Randall.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah,
I had a
right.
Randall solid state.
Your BC Rich guitar.
Yeah.
That's actually when we were
Wait.
doing this album was when
Wait,
you were
but-
introduced to Ivan.
That's right.
But you know what? A lot of people use Randall that make great records, so I should say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of
What?
Pantera, isn't
Right.
it Dimebags? Or I shouldn't say Dimebag. Yes, I should.
I
What
think
was his original name?
I think the studio.
Diamond.
Diamond. That's it.
Diamond Darrow.
Yeah.
I don't think something was set right at the studio. I think
It was just a small budget. I mean, we had 3 weeks to record and mix an entire album. I mean, that's like, it's like doing a demo.
Yeah.
That's including the mix?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. Good ending.
And I think we wrote very immaturely, to be honest. I mean, some of these songs are cool and they have cool parts, but I mean, I don't think we knew about proper orchestration and
No.
instruments being in the proper registers to complement each other.
No.
I mean, basically, we had guitar, keyboards, and bass all playing in the same register the entire time.
That was a big thing going into Images and Words was, trying to make sense of that type of writing and get everybody to be in their, correct spaces.
This is very Marillion influenced with the keyboard dominating parts. But I remember when we wrote this, we were going through a big Marillion phase. They had just done Misplaced Childhood and Clutching at Straws. Like a lot of these keyboard sounds remind me of like Mark Kelly.
Yeah.
And the lyrics were very fishy.
Yeah.
Kev was very into Fish as a lyricist, as we all were.
This is a cool unison, one of our many unison parts. This is a cool one.
But notice Jordan is playing both parts at the same time. He was doing the unison with his right hand and the chords with the
Right,
left.
true.
Which, of course, Kev never did.
The miracle of split keyboard.
That's it.
No, it's the miracle of Jordan Rudess.
Split mind. There was one show that we played on tour where we played this song, and I completely could not remember one of the parts. It comes up later, and
Totally blank.
I just
Hate when that
play.
happens.
Lead bass, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I
more
remember just
more
playing-
immature playing.
Yeah. I remember like playing the song and like having no idea what the part was and trying to like I blanked out and I couldn't find the right notes and every note I hit was wrong. It went on for like 8 measures of wrong notes.
Right, and all time stops when you're doing that. You're like,
Yeah.
Right.
There's a Fiji Water endorsement right there.
Right. Totally. Have a Fiji water right in front of me.
I probably had to argue with Ray Amico that day just to get that there. More lead bass.
Yeah.
Stephen Rothery guitar part.
Yeah.
Maybe Creator should have produced this record.
This way we could have been miserable for 2 albums instead of just one. He could have ruined 2 recording experiences instead of just one.
That's a lot of words there. Huh?
Yeah, that's very wordy, huh?
That's what I noticed throughout this
Mouthful.
whole album, singing it, is that it was everything was congested lyrically.
You guys had a
Especially
lot to
Kev,
say
though.
back then.
Huh?
Especially Kev's, though.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Get a lot to say.
Yeah. A lot to get off his chest.
Somebody wanted to say it all in one sentence.
Yeah, right. Could have spread it out amidst different songs. This total Marillion part, right? With the bass staying on the C and the chords moving like that.
This was the part. This was the bad memory part coming up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Close your ears,
Oh,
everybody.
the
Is
Father's
this the night?
Benediction.
No, this isn't the night though.
No, this isn't the night.
Oh,
no.
wow, okay. Good.
Yeah,
That's a good
There's
thing.
another wordy section, too. Look at the lyrics in
Totally.
this.
Yeah.
A lot of freaking words.
These are great lyrics. I would probably say that these are my favorite lyrics by Kevin Moore.
If we only knew what they were.
I'm trying to listen to them. Okay. Somebody recite the lyrics.
Wait, we could easily turn that into a rap song.
Yeah.
It's cool in the background with the clocks going.
Listen to the bass. I hate to keep pointing it out, but it's really like jumping out. It's really incredibly noticeable.
This
What's going on in
makes-
the background? Oh, somebody's.
Might have something to do with my new improved signature model.
Yeah. Plug.
This part's so happy.
Mm.
We don't write a lot of happy
Very
parts
major.
anymore.
Every chord is major, right?
Yeah.
I think it's probably mostly Kev's doing, I would think,
Yeah.
those chords.
Major chords are not part of our game anymore
No.
at all, right?
Definitely not.
They're not allowed in the studio. You get a ticket if you put a major
Yeah,
chord
right.
from the Dream Theater Police.
Flag on the play.
The Dream Police.
The Dream Police.
That looks very S&M, the way you're holding your mic there, man.
It must be like that every night then.
I never noticed it.
Ooh, that was a badly bent note.
That Do Not Disturb sign is really placed in a bad place. It falls on a hell meter. Look at that. The piece of white
Oh, yeah.
hanging
Yeah,
from my
I see it,
dubstep.
yeah.
It's really in a bad spot.
That was a nifty key change right there.
Yeah, I like that.
I remember John Arch singing this song
Oh.
when he was auditioning for us in between Charlie and James.
That's cool.
Little finger exercise going
Yeah,
on here.
that's a good one. Whoa.
Good thing I practiced my arpeggios as a
Yeah,
kid, right?
That was some serious arpeggios. This is a total thing right out of the Yes book of rules.
The rising bass line.
Yeah.
Right.
Same chords, but the bass notes are changing.
Yeah, it's funny. All of our favorite bands that are making these records, Yes, and Queensryche, and
Marillion.
and Maiden, and now we've toured with these bands. We
Yeah.
know them.
Yep.
We've toured with Yes, we've toured with Queensryche.
Maiden.
We've played with Maiden. We've played with
Yeah.
Marillion. I have, done a side project with Pete, and it's just like our lives and careers have become very intertwined with bands that were heroes of ours.
It's very
When
cool
we were
that
kids,
All except for
happens.
one.
Very cool.
except for Rush.
Yeah.
They're still the
Right.
exception. They still have eluded us after all these years.
That's right. I'm chugging down on the E string and then turning up my volume with my other hand. I'm not fixing myself right.
This is all kind of improvised, and
How do we know when to end?
because I do chord note triplets on the Magic Cowbell.
I usually just watch very carefully.
We have our electronic pad on my kit with the cowbell sound that actually signals.
It's the countdown that tells us. Right?
It's all of our signals. It's the cue master for us and for our lighting director Ben.
We
But even before the invisible cowbell, I would just do chord note triplets on the china.
right.
Right.
1, 2, 4, 5,
That was
6.
it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. That's it. When dreaming they unite, boys and girls.
That went by quickly.
It did. It's a lot of notes.
But you know what? The best is yet to come, and little did that audience know what was in store for them right here.
I remember that day Charlie came up to me and just came over. This little guy, all excited and saying hello to me. I had no idea who he was. I literally thought he was like a taxi driver. Or something.
Oh my God.
I didn't know who he was.
And he was like having a whole conversation.
We had a
with
whole
you, right?
we had a whole conversation. He walked away, and then we were hanging out. And then a little later, I said, "Who is that guy?" I think maybe you told me. That's Charlie. I went, oh,
It would have been really funny if you didn't know who he
driver,
was,
you know.
and then you saw him on stage.
Right, all of a sudden he comes on stage. I had a whole conversation with him. I thought he was like some
Fan or
driver
something.
or something. I don't know.
All of a sudden you see him.
I
on
mean, I
stage
just saw him. I just because
Who the hell? Security.
the only time I've seen him is like on the record cover.
Well, most people actually, until this appearance, he's been in seclusion for 15
Right.
years.
I mean, on the pictures in the record, he's got like foot long high heels or something,
and
So
a
he
lot
was
of hair
lot
and
of
stuff.
hair.
Well, actually, having Charlie and Jordan together is like the most unlikely pairing. It's like two extremes of our lives,
Right,
and
right.
careers
and here he
joining
comes.
together, and here he was.
There he was. We weren't talking to each other, not
to
knowing
Las Vegas.
anything.
No, I thought it was so cool for Charlie to come out.
It was.
He was a good guy. And there he is.
Now,
Taxi driver.
yeah, I think Charlie sounded incredibly good, considering that he hasn't been singing actively for 15 years.
That's true.
I mean, it's not like like Derek, where after he left the band, he's been working. Well, Kevin even, still works, but Charlie, hasn't really done anything in 15 years.
No.
Come on, he's been practicing these songs at home every day, waiting for this moment.
What's Charlie doing right now? You know, Mike?
He's living in San Diego, and I think he's working at like a car dealership or something like that.
Oh, right.
But he has told me that after this appearance with us in LA, he was kind of bitten by the bug again, and now wants to.
Didn't Frank Salmon
Write or
say?
record or
Didn't our
something.
manager say he got a call from Charlie
Really?
like the week after? Like,
I know Jim Patulski did, yeah, like
maybe
him
it's-
wanting to do
right,
something.
Right. Get the music bug.
I mean, I think Charlie was very talented. I think he was just in the wrong band. I've often said this, but I'll say it again. It was like trying to have Billy Joel singing with Queensryche.
Yeah, definitely.
He had a great pop voice, but we were looking for a Jeff Tate or a Bruce Dickinson or a James LaBrie. Just not what we were looking for at that time.
He did entertain us a lot, though.
He's very talented, and also it was the only time that we've ever had a singer in the band. With all due respect, James, but as somebody that actually played guitar and played keyboards and wrote, he would actually at these live shows play acoustic guitar on some songs and play piano on some songs. So it was nice to have a fifth, musician,
Right.
that could play with us. But it just wasn't right for this style of music, really.
He was good.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are wondering why Charlie is singing this song was written while Charlie was in the band. So actually, when putting the set list together, I put "To Live Forever" and "Metropolis" for the encore because these were the only two remaining Charlie era songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I toyed with should Charlie come out on the When Dream and Day Unite set, but I think it was cooler to have the entire When Dream and Day Unite with this lineup
Yeah.
and save Charlie for the encore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this song was very U2 influenced.
Yeah, as you'll see on the
yeah.
documentary, we wrote this right after we saw the movie Rattle and Hum,
Yeah.
and we immediately wrote this song. This was the first song written after we recorded When Dream and Day Unite. And it was performed live with Charlie many times, and there's a live version of this on the documentary.
Did Steve Stone ever sing this song?
Yeah, yep. That'll probably be coming soon to a Ytse Jam release near you.
Oh my God.
But actually, I remember in rehearsals originally, Charlie was going to sing the last verse of "To Live Forever," which was written
Right.
in '94
Yep.
when we did it for a B-side for Lie, and Kev wrote a final verse and you sang it, James. But Charlie had never sung that, so we went back to just doing the vamp on that final verse. As, that's the way he knew it when he was in the band. So as if having Charlie on stage wasn't enough, here comes the big grand finale right here. which I think this coming up here is one of the coolest moments in DT history. Right now they're wheeling out Derek's rig. John, how did it feel to have a keyboard player on stage left with you?
You know, it was invigorating.
They're gonna say crowded.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but in the old days, you and Kevin were together on stage right, and John Mayung had stage left to himself.
That's because he's playing so many leads and stuff.
Yeah.
He needed the room.
He needed the space
Yeah.
to work it all out. Yeah.
Plus, he was a wild man back then.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get near him.
That old Majesty footage, John is thrashing around, headbanging.
You might get hit if you wouldn't hear him on stage, right?
There he is.
There he is. Oh boy.
For those of you wondering, Kevin Moore was indeed invited to this reunion. And, unfortunately, passed on the invite. So here are 7 out of...
I thought that was so bizarre the way Derek is playing the keys, and I remember I asked him
Yeah.
about that, and he said he finds it actually easier than the traditional method.
Interesting.
It's all show. It's all about show.
It is
business.
show for sure.
Show business, baby.
So actually, this was also sung by Charlie back in '89. This was written in '89 and performed live with Charlie several times.
Yeah, you guys split up that intro, right?
Yeah.
Metropolis.
Oh, that's friendly.
You see that?
I was like all smiles that night. At this point, it was just like
This was cool.
just sitting back and enjoying the best seat in the house. I love that you guys harmonize this line in here. And you do a harmony later. That's really awesome too. You remember breaking up these lyrics?
Mm-hmm, totally. Charlie was so easy to work with, you know. He's such a... that would have been about the 4th time I think I met him that night. But each and every time I met Charlie, he was a very gracious human being. And just really easy to sit down and speak with the guy. He's a cool guy.
There he is. I wonder if there was anybody in the audience wondering
Who he was?
who he was,
Oh, right, I'm
because
sure
he
there
was
were.
introduced. But if you don't know
Yeah,
the
you
history of
know.
the band,
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
Yeah, but people just sat through it at 45 minutes of When Dream a Day Unite. I
Right.
mean, if they didn't know that album,
Yeah, that's
then
true.
they wouldn't know Charlie.
Right.
But
So a lot of people were very confused.
They must have been.
This
You never
night.
heard those songs before. Then there's some guy singing.
And then there's this guy Derek. Who the hell is he? Like,
Right. I mean, there are some
maybe some people
people.
don't know who he is. and-
no, people,
I think they
no
knew.
offense, you'd have to be really clueless for you to know who Derek was. I mean, he's been on many of our DVDs, and we did a lot of touring with him. But Charlie we never toured with Charlie, and it's a very obscure album in our catalog.
It's a nice duet there.
Mm-hmm.
We're all mesmerized. We're
Yeah, right.
speechless.
Exactly.
We're actually watching this and
Well, it sounds
enjoying
like-
it.
right. It's bringing us back.
That's right.
See, there's a guy in the front there who's totally enjoying the moment. He's
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
appreciating the effort that went into this.
This whole event.
Yeah. Look at Charlie dancing off
Oh yeah, yeah.
stage.
That dance, right?
I play this stuff in my sleep. How many times have we played Metropolis?
Ugh. Now, this isn't the first time that Jordan and Derek have been on stage together. Because
It was in '98, right?
we toured together.
Oh, yeah, right.
You were our opening act throughout a lot of '98, and there were a couple of nights where you would actually jump on stage and do
Yeah,
some
the
LTE stuff with me and
things,
John.
yeah. It was fun.
And obviously, you and Derek spent a lot of time together, you know,
Mhm.
through all that touring.
Yeah, and we're going up on stage and talking shop with him many times on that tour.
We are really speechless. We're all
We
just
are.
enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Hey. What was that?
Fan.
That was a fan?
Yeah.
That yelled there?
Yeah.
It was loud. There he is.
Another big bass moment.
Whoever mixed that put way too much wet on your cabinet right there. Sounded like Lemmy.
Let me.
I think I actually
No.
preferred it that way because it's actually easier to play.
Well, check it out. Here are the
Trade-offs.
big trades that we did. It was a lot of fun.
This was great.
Derek looked like Steve Stevens.
Yeah, he does. The hair.
Who he now plays with.
Yeah.
Plays with Steve Stevens?
Yeah, he's with Billy.
Yeah, he's been playing with
Billy
Billy
Idol.
Idol for years.
Oh, that's right.
And Steve Stevens played on his latest album, too.
I like Steve Stevens.
Yeah, he sounds great, actually.
Yeah.
You took the Eddie Van Halen approach for your first
I did.
trade-off.
Half a teacher.
Interesting. Decided not to shred. You didn't have to prove anything.
That's also very Steve Morse. And that's, what's that song? Green-Eyed Lady? Am I thinking of Frankenstein?
That's cool. A little like, southern thing.
Yeah. With bluegrass. You're really tickling the ivories.
Yes, that's my approach to this solo. It's a gentle kind of tickle.
Tickle me, Jordan. It's interesting that I think your lead sound is similar to
Yeah.
Derek's. At least,
With the wah-wah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of wah
Yeah.
and feedbacky stuff. And
what would you say are the similarities or the differences between your two styles?
Similarities or differences? Well, there's so many because I'm coming from a very classical background in general. I mean, if you're talking about just the lead approach,
Yeah.
to narrow it down, well, I generally use one hand a whole lot more than he does. He tends to use, although I was using two there, but. And also, Derek used to do his expression. He uses a joystick on the, with his left hand to do all the pitch bending, and I'm using a pitch wheel for everything that I do. I'm going back to the like the Jan Hammer, Patrick Moraz kind of approach. But actually, both Derek and I have some background in guitar, so as far as bending goes, we're both kind of very conscious of that, the rock and element that it takes to make it happen.
Yeah, I think we messed up the trades
I
here.
think we better talk over this section, Johnny,
Yeah.
because this part
We're
got a
supposed-
little
But the
confused.
problem is we were trading with three members,
Right.
so
Right.
it makes
Trying
it
to
very
work this out.
confusing.
Yeah,
But it was fun anyway.
yeah.
We all start going nuts.
Nobody noticed. And back into the album.
This is very Dregs
Yeah.
influence, this part. Oh, this is the lead part. It's total Morse.
Especially right there.
Yeah, it's Morse and T-Lab. It's
Yeah.
It's fun. Two, three, four,
It's
five.
also, by this point, it's very booking.
Oh yeah.
The tempo is cranking. Maybe if you would A-B the album version.
the idea here was to jam this part, but it never happened.
Mm.
Look, you're getting into war mode, war stance right there, Jordan. It's like you got dueling keyboards.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, I mean, it's a shame that Kevin didn't join us, but can you even picture him up there right now? I can't.
Yeah.
It's like he's so far removed from this type of music.
Right.
I don't think. I think.
I think that's probably a big,
why he didn't
big
wanna do
part
it.
of why he didn't even accept it.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Except
I wonder
the
if he
invite.
could even play music like this anymore. I mean, he's so far removed from it. Can you picture him up there shredding away like
No,
this?
I can't picture it.
It'd be a shame if he let it all his finger technical stuff go, you know.
He has. I mean, if you listen to anything he's done since leaving the band, 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've heard a single lead from him in 10 years.
It kicks into Kev solo and his like samples,
Right, a loop.
vocal samples, and like
Techno loop, and he's moving like a filter knob or something.
this is another one of those parts that just is embedded in the DNA of all of us. It sounds confusing, but I wonder how much Derek had to prepare to do this. He obviously hasn't played this song in ages.
Yeah.
It's pretty complicated.
Yeah, but he's got his chops.
Yeah,
Probably
he's
more-
been constant, consistent.
His
with all
chops are
this.
probably better,
Then
or
they-
at least more sharper now than they were when he was in the band.
That's true.
I mean, the stuff he does with Planet X and everything is completely
It's crazy
over
stuff.
the top.
You guys kiss?
Oh, this is
Almost.
sweet.
Almost. We didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
When he was with us, he just was Nicky Lemon's dude. He just wanted to rock.
Yeah.
I think he got way more progressive after, we
That's true.
replaced him.
Right now he's thinking, they love me.
I love me.
No, he would do it. He's doing it in his voice. They love me. Show business is my life. I think this was really cool having 7 of us up there. I mean, that's like, who would have ever thought? Really, really cool.
It worked.
It totally worked.
What's next?
We're gonna have to do a whole tour like this, like
Yeah.
when Yes did it.
Right, right.
Well, this was the 15th anniversary when Dream and Day Unite, but next year, on our next world tour, it'll be the 20th anniversary of the band.
Wow.
Yep.
So we'll have to play
It's true.
every album from start to finish. Let me take that back.
Yeah. You gotta watch what you say,
What am I
Jordan.
saying? I'm insane.
The thing is that Image's 15th isn't just too far off
Yeah.
in the distant.
I think every album is obviously. I mean, any year you could look and say, okay, well, this is the 10th year of Awake or the 15th of Images, but there's something special about this because it was our first album, and a lot of these songs had never been played, and people wanted to hear the first album we've done with you singing, James, and so. I don't think this will be a tradition where we celebrate anniversaries of albums. It was just really special for this particular album, I don't know if this would be something that we would, get into doing on a regular basis.
I think Derek got the privilege of the end chord
Yeah.
ripping.
Yeah, look, you guys
Yeah.
aren't even doing it.
No. You gotta be gracious. When somebody's in your house.
Good audience.
We ran out of Fiji, and I think I have an Aquafina there. We have to call Ray Amico about that. Well, that about
There you
wraps it
have
up.
it.
That was a pretty fun concert.
It was fun.
Did you
Very
mention that
nice.
was the first time many of us have seen that video?
This is probably the first
video?
time any of you guys have seen
just
it,
did.
right?
That's right.
Oh, all of us, yeah. And it was the first time I've seen it. It was fun. And every time we do this, I learn a lot about this band.
There's not much left,
Great,
though, Jordan.
man.
I think we've actually covered most of the ground now.
Right.
You
Now
should be
I've
pretty-
played most of the songs, or I guess
You actually have. You've played almost
I
the
think there are
entire
very
Dream Theater
few that I
catalog.
haven't, yeah.
By knocking out this album in one
Wow.
shot, you really are up to date.
And much to the jealousy of a lot of guys who play keyboards out there, I actually have charts for all these songs.
Right. And you know the history of the song.
Now I know the history. That's right.
Yeah. Where they came from.
Well,
Mhm.
actually, you've been in the band now maybe longer than Derek was in the band, and surely more
Yeah.
albums, more tours.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
And at this point,
You're no
I've
longer
played
the
like
new guy.
the Iron Maiden, the Metallica, so I've learned like the core and the
That's
thinking
true.
behind a lot of the writing. And
That is true.
I'd say I got a fairly good feel for what's going on here.
all right, guys. Well,
All right.
it was a historic show. It's great. Any parting remarks, real quick, before it ends?
It was a great night. It was a lot of fun and a really, really cool theater and
Yeah.
very special night.
It was a high vibe indeed.
Absolutely.
Enjoy
For
it.
all the boys.
And everybody was really, really cool that night. Thanks to Derek and Charlie.
Yeah.
They were great.
They were very cool.
Fantastic evening.
And here comes the
John?
final bow.
We're gonna go to the barber now.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Want to talk about the old days a little bit before the thing ends, Johnny?
That's it. Hey, Doug, you want to say hi and bye? Quick. There's Doug Oberkirker back there.
Like Slipknot up there.
All right, that's the end. Over and out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on tour.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, the reason I decided to put together this video is because we didn't do too much touring off the first album, and we were getting a lot of letters from people who really wanted to see us, and I realized after sorting through all my home videos that I should put it together and put it out through the fan club for all the people that didn't get to see us on this tour could see what we were all about during this first chapter of Dream Theater.
I think Dream Theater is unique in the writing process because a lot of times when people ask who writes the music, maybe like one guy, writes the music, one guy comes in, hear the chords, and that's it, and hands out the parts. The way we write is usually, it's more like improvisation, like some guy might come in with an idea, a chord progression, a riff, a drum beat, whatever, and everyone will just feed off of that, and we'll just see where it goes. Sometimes we don't even worry about where the song is going. Other times we're really conscious about where it's going, where vocals are going to go. And at points we just gel on it and jam and record it and pick out of that. So it's really a unified project. When we go to write a song, it's like who knows what's going to happen. And that's the great thing about it, because it's everybody's ideas, and we also get into a lot of fights. But the outcome is I think, really what's special about it.
During the year, while we didn't have a singer, we recorded a instrumental demo throughout 1987, and a lot of that material was what ended up on When Dreaming Day and Night. But at that point, it was just instrumental versions of those songs. So when we met Charlie, we had all these new songs that we were working on throughout '87, and then we were ready to go.
Our first Metallica influence was Afterlife, the first Metallica influence.
Metallica, now Fortune was like the first heavy 16th note F sharp song. I ain't saying that. I wasn't telling nobody I'm going there. You said a low home. They know where I'm going.
You said low home. They know where I'm going. My home's up around 25. That's where it's been for the last 5 years.
Status Seeker was an example of us trying to get our style into a more accessible type format and just a shorter version of what we normally do. So the record company at one point said, can you guys take your writing style and maybe gear it towards radio, and without sacrificing too much, we just kind of shortened the normal format instead of going on for 20 minutes and being redundant. And we came up with Status Seeker. So the writing style is pretty much the same, and tried to be our first single. It was our first single.
We went in and recorded it, you know, after only rehearsing it a couple times back home. And
how many days did it take us to write that song?
Wrote the song in 2 days.
2 days.
Musically. Lyrically, on the other hand,
John and I got together to write, and instead to write the lyrics.
Instead we got wasted.
Instead, we drank some beers and hung out, and we started complaining to each other about how it was bumming us about how everybody we know was like that had used to have this attitude like get a real job and you're bum. Now that we have a record deal and everything, that whole attitude was changing to I always believed in you and I want to know you now.
And it wasn't only like it was everyone. It was parents. It was girls. It was bosses, acquaintances, people. Get a haircut. But as soon as like you're doing something that's
As soon as it's legitimized.
Yeah, exactly.
By a record deal.
Then your hair makes sense. Oh, they're in a band. Like that.
Here's the brand that we used on the album cover. See, this symbol came about while we were Majesty, thus the M. And the artist that did the album artwork had a picture that was very similar to what's on the cover of the album, and except it had an A. So we told her to reshoot the session with this symbol, but we wanted something with an M that would be recognizable for Majesty and just a symbol. So we started looking for a symbol, and Charlie found this symbol in some book. I think it stood for Mary, Queen Mary of Scots or something like that. And it looked really cool. It was very symmetrical, which is something I like, and had an M in it and all sorts of things. But a lot of people think it spells Dream Theater and all that shit, but basically it's just a symbol that had an M in it, and we liked it, so we reshot the cover with this exact brand, and there it is, and now I'm stuck with it on my arm for the rest of my life.
Get close up of that. Get close up of this, Jim. Don. Got that? Little M. Dream. Theater. That's excellent. It's not a sandwich spread, a bread spread coming from the extract.
It's not a Jewish horror.
Or it was written. It's not a type of traffic situation in India. It's not a big festival where we got together with other Chinese musicians.
It certainly isn't one of the many sexual positions that you can.
Let's take care of this once and for all. Ytse Jam.
Tell them about it, Mike. What? You're out of camera.
You people are so
You gotta figure
stupid.
this out. I mean, come on.
You people are dumb.
We have a mirror.
I
There's
love
a mirror
you.
in here.
You're fans. We love you.
We need a mirror.
You're stupid.
We need a mirror. Who's got a mirror?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Well, for those of you that figured it out, this doesn't apply.
let's clear this up. Ytse Jam. Most of you figured it out, but for those of you that haven't, we used to be called Majesty. If you took this bass drum head or any other thing that said Ytse Jam, held it up to the mirror, I wish you could see through this, but if you notice, YTSEJAM,
Incredible.
Ytse Jam.
Incredible. this is a story of the Killing Hand. The Killing Hand was a story that I actually wrote, like sat down, wrote a story, and eventually put into lyrical form. And the story goes as follows. There's this man, and he's in a barren land. And if you guys don't know the story, this is the time to clear it up. With a bunch of memorial-type walls with names on them. And he's sitting there all by himself, and he's wondering, he's like, where is everybody? The guy must have, like, blanked out or something weird happened to him. He doesn't know where he is, and he just sees these names, these memorial...
Look at me.
These names. So, anyway, what he does is he's like, okay, who killed all these people? Like, what happened? Was it a war? Was it a plague? What the hell happened? So what he does, and this is where the sci-fi comes in, he goes back in time, and the way the back in time thing all happens is, picture the ocean, and if you can go all the way down to the depths of the ocean and through
deep into the sea.
right to the other side, that's how you go through time. That was my interpretation of going through time, going down to the depths of the ocean. And he goes back in this time, and much to his chagrin,
That's a sniglet.
he doesn't find a war, and he doesn't find, bombs and scorching flames and all that. What actually was happening was some sort of tyrant type dude was killing everybody off. Maybe like the Hitler type situation.
Nixon.
Or what was that guy? What was that guy that killed everybody with the drink?
Jimmy Jones.
Is that who it was?
Jones.
Diana?
Yes,
Jones
yeah, like that type deal. And so what he says is he's like, wow, man, this guy is crazy. I gotta stop, I gotta stop all this killing. So he is not immortal because he's from another time, kind of like Scrooge, like you can't hear him or anything. So he asks the heavens above to be mortalized, and he becomes mortal, and he kills this guy, man. I don't know what he does, but he kills him. And he's all psyched. He's like, yeah, man, I stopped it. I stopped all the killing. And so then he realizes his time is up. He gets his tap on his shoulder, and he has to go back 3 times. So he goes back, and as he's going back, he's like, my God, I don't feel the same. Something feels weird. I feel like something's different. And he gets back, and this feeling overwhelms him to such a point that he wails back to where he was, looking at the wall, and his name now appears as the last name on the memorial. And so the whole irony of the story was that in the beginning, the reason why he was by himself is because he was the one who killed everybody in the first place, so he was the only one left. And so the time warp thing happens where he actually goes back in time and he kills himself. And makes no sense realistically, but that is what happened. It's basically the song thrives on the fact that we can have time warps and be in 2 different places at the same time.
He was the Killing Hand.
He was the Killing Hand. one of the things that keeps this band interesting, not only to listen to but to play in, is that we take pretty much everything that we listen to as an influence in our writing style. For example, our record collections have lots of heavy metal stuff, really heavy stuff, really hardcore stuff, and then it goes into more new age stuff and jazz and Latin and different ethnic types of music. If you ask any one of the guys, who their favorite artists are, it'll range from Peter Gabriel to SOD. It's just like very diverse, and I think that's what keeps the writing always fresh, because we might listen to an Andreas Vollenweider album, and all of a sudden some new age influences will come out, or some funk or whatever. It's just, I don't think we put any limits on what we can do. We don't say, oh, we're a heavy metal band. I think that's what really defines the term progressive in the true sense, is that you're willing to make some progress in a style. I think that's what we like doing the most.
When I go back again, will it be the same? I stopped the cries, but now they know my name. The sea is calling me. My spirit must return as I get closer. Was it really worth what I have learned? Oh. I'm in the valley, and the seven chimes I hear race for the world to find. One more name appears. No one is left now. My one and only love. I laugh at what I've done. I am the feeling.
Yeah, the name of the song is just taken from what it says on those firecracker packages, like "Use and Get Away," and I applied that to personal situations, relationships, how you can sometimes be hardened by personal relationships, like, after you come out of a bad one, you can kind of try to separate yourself from it and say, you don't want to get involved emotionally anymore with anybody. You just want to fuck her and forget her. And that's what that's about. Not about me really having that attitude, but how you can get to that point. When everything falls apart, you can just walk away from it with no scars because you never got involved in the first place. No gain, no pain, which is just, if you don't get involved, if you don't have a high off the relationship, you can't have a low. So, if you don't gain anything, you don't get hurt.
I was kind of had been thinking for actually almost all my life about the concept of afterlife, as most people do. So to me, I just kind of applied it to that thought, and I wrote a song which really is out of the what the guidelines say, or most writers say, that songs shouldn't ask a question. Lyrics should make a statement as opposed to asking a question. I said, bullshit. Especially a song like Afterlife.
What a rebel.
Who knows the answer? Afterlife is a big question.
Behind closed eyes, some comfort lies in knowing the truth never spoken. Through this world with its hidden conclusion, we keep moving like mice to a maze. In the afterlife, will God be ready? Will God be warm? Will the day have no night in the afterlife? Will the blind have sight in the afterlife? Oh.
If any song is in E, that song is in E. That song, the beginning, for some reason, sounds like the inside of a factory or something, like the different machines and stuff like that.
That was originally called Death of Spock.
Yeah.
On the instrumental demo because
It sounded like because John thought
yeah,
it should be
John-
called that.
it just sounded like a soundtrack of Spock
It does,
being
though.
killed.
Very spacey. The whole song is about a guy who's driving home late at night, and it's raining out, and he's really tired, and he's kind of falling asleep at the wheel. I'm sure, like, we've all kind of done that. And what happens is he has a dream that takes about, I don't know, a split second, and the dream is that he actually crashed, and he died, and he walks away from his crash. And so the whole thing is he's kind of talking to himself. He's looking on and seeing what life would be without him. You know what I mean? Like, what people would be affected by his death, and how everything kind of caught up to him. That's why he did that. And he snaps out of that dream. It takes place really quick, and he realizes, oh my God, you know, I've been like running myself down. You know, I'm really busy, and I got to get my shit together. And then that kind of segues into the title.
of Time was basically it was inspired by the fact there's a period written in a period when the band was just starting to happen and things were going good and everything was positive. Not that it doesn't anymore. It doesn't. And you know, just like what they were talking about before when they were talking about Status Seeker, how everybody was like, you know, suddenly everybody's a part of it, everybody wants to be part of it. The catchword for the time was, you know, if you guys don't worry about it, it's only a matter of time. Everybody used to say that in every situation, they still do. And that was kind of, that was what it was inspired from. It was also inspired by the fact that all we had to live on, like we weren't making any money. Just of course now we're making millions. and all we had to rely on was just our faith in the future, our belief that it was going to be only a matter of time. And
Fearless faith and destiny.
A fearless faith and destiny. And so I was expressing a lot of the fear that I had, and I think the bear too. Sure. And so, you know, the whole situation with the suited man smiled says it's just a matter of time. It's like lawyers and other managers, people wanted to manage us, and all this shit. Steve Sinclair, you know, people sitting down and saying, you know, looking at us in a business point of view, which was something totally new for us. You know, making all these promises to us, and all we could do was say, cool. Because we didn't really know much about the future, and it was like approaching the Paramount with the sun in our eyes. It's like going up this climb, like to success, but not knowing where you're going and not knowing what to do.
Suited man smiled, said, it's just a matter of time. You can have the world at your feet by tomorrow, just sign on this line. Hold tight, limelight, approaching the Paramount with the sun in our eyes. Fearing family ties, legal lives, compromise. In a dimly lit room with a stool as a stage, a train-stringed prince of a proper descent on these dropping silence that breaks his window as he sweats a performance to an audience that ticks on the wall. The practical observer, it's just a matter of time. You can deviate from the commonplace only to fall back in line. I understand mine's a risky planning a system can't miss, but the security after all a cause a symptom of happiness. His eyes on horizon in a steady set gait. Marrying a sword from an open cocoon. Takes a moment to summon his courage, stifle his grave apprehension, and trembling approaches the sun. Even when plans fall to pieces, I can still find the courage with promise I found in my faith. Likely or not, it's a dream that we keep, and that our odds with our senses we'll find. But if faith is the answer, we've already reached it, and if spirit's a sign, then it's only a matter of time. This is something pretty new. It's as close as we get to a political statement. Forever.
Which was actually inspired by
Rattle and Hum.
YouTube Rattle and Hum.
Rattle and Hum.
We all went to see that, and after seeing that movie, we were just all completely blown away by U2's by U2's
Sense of dynamics. Wonderfulness.
the dynamics. And you know, after listening to the first album, we realized that, you know, we all have a lot of dynamic capabilities within us as musicians, but we never touch upon it in our own music. And we do it at rehearsals. We have a lot of jam sessions and open jams where we just become very dynamic and feed off of each other, but we never wrote a song with any sort of dynamic you know,
Simplicity.
qualities and simplicities in mind. And after seeing Rattle and Hum, you know, we came back and we started jamming on this progression that John had, and it turned into Forever, which was pretty much our first venture into a very simple, dynamic sort of song.
Definitely. Another thing about that is that I was recently, and I think we all have been trying to get into the elements of songwriting, because we always, I guess what happens when you grow up listening to all the bands that we did, you kind of think that writing a song is putting together, you know, the best licks and the best chops and all the weirdest time signatures, and sometimes you don't worry about the song. I mean, hopefully that didn't escape us too much, but I realized that I couldn't take any one of our songs and sit down with an acoustic, you know, the most basic form of a guitar, and play the song. You know, I would need delays and overdubs, and I'd have to be warmed up and all this stuff. So I said, let's write a song you can sit down and play, whether it be on a piano or an acoustic or something, and have the full sound of the song. And that was that.
If I'd started from the top and worked my way down, then there'd be no reason to live forever, to live forever. The starvation has turned me outside in, and the wind has blown me halfway across the world, across the world. Why was I born in an age of distrust? I long for some change, for a photograph, but will it only stay the same? Always be the same. Until I show a design for this, my hunger will lose me to sleep. As long as I have to die in the attempt, then there is no reason to live forever. and early May, she carried a gift from her home. The night shed a tear to tell her of fear and a sorrow and pain she'll never outgrow. Death is the best antidote. There's no more freedom. The both of you will be confined to this mind. I was told there's a miracle for each thing that I try. I was told there's a new love that's born for each one that has died. I was told there'd be no one to call if I feel alone and afraid. I was told if you dream of the next world, you'll find yourself swimming in a lake of fire. As a child, I thought I could live without pain, without sorrow. As a man, I find that it's caught up with me. I'm asleep, yet I'm so somewhere, like a dream from my memory, there's a picture of 1,000 words, eluding stares of the faces before me. It hides away and will never be heard of again. Deceit is the second without end. Destiny knows what keeps us to survive. Keep your heart in my eyes and we'll stay alive.
Kevin and John Petrucci, I kind of have a personal affinity for because I play guitar myself. And I love the piano and I love keyboard. I can really relate to their musical love and the desire to play and progress as an instrumentalist. As people, John is like the person in me that I kind of lost touch with. The person that stayed young, stayed a child, stayed sensitive, and still grows and still learns. Kevin is similar, a lot similar to me in the sense that he's kind of built his defenses, he's learned how to deal with the world, and he kind of governs the amount of how much he lets people into his personal self and how much he keeps them out. And he has a good, kind of a good pulse on that.
Kev is very, first of all, fun to be with. He's probably the funniest person I'll ever meet, and it makes playing together and hanging out together, that much more enjoyable. As far as a musician goes, I have the utmost respect for his playing, his writing, and his attitude about music, and his openness about music.
Kev is the comedian of the band. Kev never never fails to make us laugh. He's always got something really funny to say, and he can make any normal situation into a very funny situation. He's a very serious person too. He's very, he can be very emotional. He's also a great lyricist. I love his lyrics. Both of his lyrics on When Dream and Day Unite, I think, are incredible. I love them.
Yeah.
John is a very, very serious and dedicated musician. He's the sort of guy that will just keep constantly learning and practicing and will never ever stop because he'll never be satisfied with his playing. As far as his playing goes, he is a monster. I think he is the best I've seen And I think he's very underrated. I think a lot of times people don't realize how good he is. He doesn't realize how good he is. But he's the sort of guitarist that can just do anything.
John is a very original guy. I relate to John incredibly when it comes to dedication and practicing. I can remember, and I'm sure he remembers also, sitting down when we were young and being like, man, we got to practice 6 hours today. This is when we weren't even in the same band. And we would say everyone else would be partying and whatnot, but if we saw each other out, it would only mean one thing, and that was that we got our 6 hours of practicing. So he has to be the most inspirational people that I know, because he just, you know, the devotion, you know, just amazing. It's like, you call him up, you hear a metronome in the background, it's like, wow, I should be doing that, you know. So he just completely pushes you.
John Mayung is a very special guy, very quiet, very sensitive, very introspective, very talented player and writer. And it's hard to get close to John. It's hard for anyone to get close to John. But I feel like I am close to John. I know I will always be, and probably be even closer to him. And I respect his musicianship.
John Mayung is a very, very interesting person. He's very quiet and introverted, and he's got his set ways and values, and he lives by them. As a musician, when I first met him, he never put down his bass. His bass was like, you know, part of his body. Up at Berkeley, he would never go out or anything. He would just spend all day practicing and all night. And when we weren't practicing as a band, he was constantly locked in a practice room at Berkeley, just constantly practicing, never putting that thing down.
Mike reminds me of like a brother. Mike is a real sweet guy, a real open and honest guy. Mike is a real special guy, and he happens to be one of the best drummers I've ever heard in my life.
I think Mike's an example of, I read, my dad had turned me on to something that I read where it was saying how mental practicing is can be such a great supplement to actually playing your instrument, and Mike is the example, complete example of that, because he's just always thinking of rhythms and playing things. And the greatest thing is that he comes up with things, and he looks at things with a completely different perspective than you would imagine. But he looks at things from a completely different perspective than what one would expect. And that's when we start to get into the analytical scene, because Mike is the most meticulous person I'll ever know, and he's, so far as coming up with different ways to turn around the beat or accent things or be creative, he's like the genius of that. And he's, as a drummer, I think he's abnormally involved in arranging and knowing what's going on. He can probably play all of our parts on the guitar and all the instruments to his best ability. He knows the notes that we're playing, he knows the scales that we're playing, and he writes things out, and it just kind of helps us, you know, when it comes to counting. And he's also, I didn't grow up with Mike, but I met him at school, and that was the best thing that school did for me, was introduce me to one of the greatest friends I'll ever have, and one of the greatest drummers I'll ever play with.
All these guys are personal friends of mine, and I respect them all, I admire them all, I love them all. But most of all, I'm really happy to have known them, and to know them, and to be working with them, because they make me feel like it's never too late to to learn and to progress and to become something more than you were the day before. And that's what I feel I do when I'm with this band. I grow. Somebody told me a long time ago, stay green and you grow ripe and you rot. And since I joined this band, I've gotten back to staying green. I love it.
There must be this third and last dance. This one will last forever. Metropolis watching us and thoughtfully smiles. It's taking you to your. It can only take place when the struggle between our children has ended. Now the miracle and the miracle that the cloud is love. Love is the dance of eternity.
Charlie is definitely one of my favorite singers. I think he just has, his voice is just so smooth, and I like the soulfulness of his voice. Also, he was a really good influence on the band because he came from more of a pop background, and we were coming from more of, you know, anti-pop, if you want to call it, heavy metal, progressive rock, and the blend, I think, added to the diversity and to the depth of the writing style.
It was just a matter of the chemistry, not mixing. It's like he had all of the ingredients that our chemistry has. You know, he was a very open person, very honest, down to earth, very musical. I think he's got an incredible voice. His voice is so melodic, and he has a lot of soul, and he really knows how to, you know, sing music. He would come down and do Billy Joel songs or Beatles songs and just sing the shit out of them. He had a lot of similar qualities to us, but I don't think he was right for us. The chemistry just did not mix, you know. We had the four of us, and we had him with very similar characteristics and qualities, but for some reason it was like oil and vinegar, you know. They're both on the same salad, but they never mix together for some reason, and they both taste good on the salad, but for some reason they don't mesh.
I think the reason why he's not in Dream Theater now is because I think stylistically we might have overshot so far as a pop singer in a progressive band or whatever it might have been. I think he definitely had the same vision. I think his voice is phenomenal. It might not have been in the right band.
By the time you see this video, I'll probably have been thrown out and some new guy will be the singer, but even if that should happen someday, I'll still remain friends. I know I'll still remain friends with these guys.
Thank you, boys.
I had like only cop, set cop of all homies night. I had to send the mic over there. I remember that day because it was an unusual arrangement, great arrangement.
We're talking Mike Morday, actually one of the members of one of the original members.
It's going to be a special night here in theater history.
I was told there's a new one. This is all me.
Yep.
Are you gonna make me do that?
Well,
now,
you don't have
is this
to.
the trick? Is it the trick right here? Of is where you're switching. Spinning in a lake of fire.
I just go, it's called passaggio, so I bring up. Passaggio is passageway in Italian. Yeah.
Spinning in a lake of fire.
Like that, you know, but it's just, it's the diaphragm
Passaggio.
too.
Yeah, it's all support.
You know, like I'm almost going,
As a child.
but you don't have to do that. That's
Oh,
me.
you're doing that, okay. So I can just blow it out here and then you'll just take over.
You don't have to blow it out. You know what,
No,
too, Charlie?
no.
I mean, if you go falsetto, fucking do it.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares?
I'm learning that now. I'm
You
really,
know,
really learning that.
Don't blow yourself up because
you're
then it's
all
just
over
kind of
here.
like you're
That's
going to be going, oh, shite.
City's cold,
Yeah.
blood
But here,
teaches us to
so
survive.
somewhere, and now this is what I want
We're
you
doing
to
this
do.
together?
No, but you hear, see this part 1st? Somewhere, like a scene, so I'm going,
Seen from my memory,
Right.
1,000 words, faces before me. Starvation has heard me outside in, and the wind has blown me halfway across the world. I guess it's hot. It's kind of hot because they were. No, I don't mean here. I mean. The starvation has turned me out. Worked my way down.
Yeah, just where you do that little vamp. You know, be more comfortable. It doesn't change out. We're the same. You want to take it from the melody?
Does anybody feel the need to do that again, or can we move on? We can move on. All right, so Derek. I can't see anything. Is Derek in the wings? Derek, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. You want to do this? Want to roll intro?
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There's chaos here.
Yeah, why don't we, let's make sure your ears are okay, so. Who's that?
Howie Portnoy? Howie? Shake everybody's hand.
Shake everybody. You did great, Charlie.
He's got the backlight on. That's great. Thank you.
The crowd.
I had what?
The crowd fucking loved you.
Yeah, I thought they were going to throw vegetables at me.
No, they loved you. They loved you.
Eric, say hi to the people there.
Thank you. That was fun. Once again.
Johnny boy? Johnny, it's good to see you again, Johnny.
Good job, Charlie. Excellent.
Good to see you. What's happening?
Charlie.
Where'd Mikey go?
Who was that? That doesn't look like the same person that I saw this morning in the mirror. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the audio commentary. We'll go around the room to identify everybody's voices before we begin. I'm Mike Portnoy.
I'm John Petrucci.
James.
I'm Jordan Rudis.
And John Mayo.
And welcome. It is December 1st, 2004. We're recording this commentary at the Hit Factory in New York City, where we are working on our latest album. And this video that we're doing the commentary for was recorded March 6th of this year. So this was already about 9 months ago. And this was the 15th anniversary to the day of the release of When Dreamin' Day Unite. So, here we are. Hi, guys.
Hey, we're off and rocking.
I remember going to Charlie's apartment where he lived and like working on lyrics and stuff like that. And I remember being impressed because he knew how to roll sushi.
Oh wow, that is impressive.
He introduced us to sushi.
Yeah, actually he did. You're right. We went to a karaoke bar where we used to
rehearse in Huntington.
Yeah.
It's an important role in your lives.
It is.
What are your thoughts about singing these songs through the years?
Well, I do remember doing a couple of them the very first night I hooked up with you guys and jammed with you guys. But, and I remember the Images and Words tour. We played, I think every one of them, didn't we, on that tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically went through all of them, and so
I don't know, well, except for the ones who helped us set this up, but everything else we did actually do at one point or another.
Well, because when we were on the Images tour, we had we needed to do the songs from the first album in order to create a long enough set throughout the night. So my memory with this album is that we did it quite a bit. Very first world tour we were out with. So when it came back time to bring these back and play the album in its entirety, that was the first for that, you know.
One more.
I have an interesting story to tell you guys about one of the songs off the first album, and it was when we were throwing tapes back and forth to each other, and you guys had sent me up a CD copy, and it had Status Seeker on it, because I guess that was the single, and so my CD player at the apartment was on the fritz, and I was really psyched to hear this song. So I went to a place called, back then they're not even around anymore, they're called Majestics Audio. And I went in pretending that I was looking at a stereo system that I wanted to buy.
That's cool.
And I said, listen, I want to hear this stereo here. It looks pretty cool. And it was a huge system. And the guy goes, yeah, well, get a CD. I got one here. Let me hear it. And the guy puts it in. I go, well, you know, I really want to hear it. And I remember just cranking Status Seeker. And it was my first time hearing you guys. And I was getting really in it. You could see this guy. He was getting all freaked out because his tunes are cranking in the store. And finally, like, he goes, well, what do you think? I go, oh, yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're like, I really like the band.
Needless to say, I got my CD player fixed within a couple of days, and then I was starting to play it at home. But that was so funny.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the crazy hours that went into recording schedule.
Oh my God.
Going in at what, 6 at night, and coming out at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, we were night owls. The entire When Dreaming Day and Night was recorded in the wee hours of the morning and night.
That's right.
John, I think we should implement those hours again.
You want to go back to that?
No, but
that would
that
make you
means
happy.
the next record's gonna have the same fate.
Right. This is the bit. See, back then we were all young and single, and we could work, you know, from 6 at night till 6 in the morning. But
well,
not like that these days.
No, we just packed up and left.
Yeah.
You know, we packed up, left, lived in Pennsylvania for the few weeks. You know,
that was crazy.
I mean, I was barely. How old were we? Like 20?
Yeah.
You know, I remember like after the album, like meeting my parents down at Disney World. Like that's how young we were. It was like, oh, I'll fly down when I'm done. You know.
I remember that day Charlie came up to me and just, this little guy all excited and saying hello to me. I had no idea who he was. I literally thought he was like a taxi driver.
Oh my God.
I don't know who he was.
And he was like having a whole conversation.
We had a whole conversation. He walked away, and then we were hanging out. And then a little later, I said, "Who is that guy?" I think maybe you told me. It's Charlie. Like, oh.
It would have been really funny if you didn't know who he was,
you know,
and then you saw him on stage.
Right, all of a sudden he comes on stage. I had a whole conversation with him. I thought he was like,
John, how did it feel to have a keyboard player on stage left with you?
You know, it was invigorating.
You're gonna say crowded.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but in the old days, you and Kevin were together on stage right, and John Mayung had stage left to himself.
That's because he's playing so many leads and stuff.
Yeah.
He needed the room.
He needed the space
Yeah.
to work it all out. Yeah.
Plus, he was a wild man back then.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get near him.
That old Majesty footage, John is thrashing around, headbanging.
Yeah, you might get hit if you wouldn't hear him on stage. Right?
Well, that about
There you
wraps it
have
up.
it.
That was a pretty fun concert.
It was fun.
Did you mention that was the first time many of us have seen that video?
This is probably the first time any of you guys have seen it, right?
That's right.
Oh, all of us, yeah. And that was the first time I've seen it. It was fun. And every time we do this, I learn a lot about this band.
There's not much left,
Great,
though, John.
man.
I think we've actually covered most of the ground now. You
Right,
should
now
be
I've
pretty-
played most of the songs, or I guess...
You actually have. You've played almost the entire
very
Dream
few
Theater
that I
catalog.
haven't, Yeah.
By knocking out this album in
Wow.
one shot, you really are up to date.
And much to the jealousy of a lot of guys who play keyboards out there, I actually have charts for all these songs.
Right. And you know the history of the song.
Now I know the history. That's right.
Yeah. Where they came from.
Well, actually, you've been in the band now maybe longer than Derek was in the band, and surely more albums, more tours. So
And at this point,
You're no
I've
longer
played
the
like
new guy.
the Iron Maiden, the Metallica, so I've learned like the core and the
That's
thinking
true.
behind a lot of the writing. And
That is true.
I'd say I got a fairly good feel for what's going on here.
all right, guys. Well,
All right.
it was a historic show. It was great. Any parting remarks, real quick, before it ends?
It was a great night. It was a lot of fun and a really, really cool theater and
Yeah.
very special night.
It was a high vibe indeed.
Absolutely.
Go
For
ahead.
all the boys.
And everybody was really, really cool that night. Thanks to Derek and Charlie.
Yeah.
They were great.
They were very cool.
Fantastic evening.
And here comes the
John?
final bow.
We're gonna go to the barber now.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Want to talk about the old days a little bit before the thing ends, Johnny?
That's it. Hey, Doug, you want to say hi and bye, quick?
Hi.
There's Doug Oberkirker back there.
Like Slipknot up there.
All right, that's the end. Over and out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on tour.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Nice.
Funny. That was very informative. It was enjoyable.
Okay.
There we go, another commentary down.
Whenever we do any of these commentaries,
yeah,
I realize how little we talk to each other in real life.
Shall I do a mutual?
When the baby bear seeks refuge or shelter from the elements, he hides beneath his mother's belly. When you need refuge, come to Mutual of Omaha. I'll stay in the back of the Jeep while Jim goes after that wildebeest. The fog you see on the camera lens is actually the wildebeest's breath as he bites off Jim's arm.
Oh, wait a second.